Coming to you live from the San Francisco Bay Area. It's time for Zig in the Zone with Ralph Zig Tycho.
Zig in the Zone is back, episode 24 in season 2. I'm here with Paulie B, my sidekick and technical guy. How the hell are you, Paulie?
I'm hanging in the side here. I'm kind of pointing in the side here. How are you doing, Ziggy?
Oh, there you go. You're looking good. You got a cap on.
Yes, sir, I do.
Good. You know, last week we did a show, The Anatomy of a Podcast, you and I, and the name that came up most, that we're most proud of in our endeavor, is Melanie Mims Montgomery. She's got an organization that this may be our claim to fame, is that we featured her and what's going on, because it's incredibly important that her group continues to grow and gets good publicity. We're not CBS like she's used to, but we're the next best thing. We're certainly better than CNN these days, but that's another story.
We are the Cannabis News Network.
Yes.
We are CNN. We are the Cannabis News Network here in San Francisco. And so you are correct.
I'd like to welcome you, Melody. Again, it's great to have you. You're basically a regular. And the reason being, we love to rap with you. We love your company. You're terrific. So keep coming back. And I want to ask you, first of all, I'm curious, how did the group come about? How did it come about in your head that you were going to form this group? And what was behind that?
So, there was a larger group. There was a larger group of a lot of different vendors, a lot of just smokers. And we started meeting at the lake, at Lake Merritt in Oakland, on the first Friday of every month. And as that group became bigger and larger and more seniors started showing up, it became really problematic for us because there's no seating out there. The wind comes up, it's cold. It can get cold out there at 5 o'clock in the middle of summer because the wind comes so hard across that lake. And so it just became problematic for us to attend the larger group. And so I talked to one of my friends there who had literally started that group. I talked to Sarah and Joanna, and they said, well, why don't we do something for the seniors on a different day, and we can maybe get a different place for it and make it, less problematic for y'all. And so we put together a team of 4 women is how we started our first group, and then later added other planning members. But the original group was 4 women, and Sarah had a spot for us and gifted us this little room up on the, 3rd floor of some building down off of 17th and International, over there.
Right.
Over there.
Okay.
So when you would come out, if it was late at night, you didn't want to stand in that corner waiting for your Uber because that was the corner you didn't want to be on.
Right.
If you didn't want, if you wasn't trying to make a little extra money. So we met, and our first one was we had maybe 17 people at our meeting, and we had one brand. It was Care by Design. And I will always remember they were our first brand there to give us free things. And it grew. And then we lost that building and we ended up at the lake. Again, we're at the lake. And then we got another spot that was gifted to us up at EVB. And so we grew again. And then that spot went away because of, predatory lease practices in Oakland. Um, and the people who were gifting it to us could no longer sustain that building. So then we were back at the lake again, and then we had a dispensary. A dispensary offered us a spot. Flight dispensary offered us a spot, and we were there for about a year. And then things weren't working out so well monetarily for them, I think. And so we needed to leave there. So we were back at the lake again. I put
Wow.
out I put out a giant, Facebook feeler, like, help us, right? With a picture of all of us. Like, I don't know, at that time there was probably 40 of us maybe in this group picture. We had grown from 17 to about 40. And I put out a picture and asked for help on Facebook. And I asked in the old group, I asked in new groups, I asked everywhere that I could think of. And this time we literally had 6 responses. 6 businesses reached back out to me and said, hey, do you want to come and look at our spot? We can offer you guys something for free.
Wow.
So we got to shop around and look at different spots and, get the feel of it and see how it would work for us. And now we've landed at Rooted in the 510 dispensary in Oakland over on Telegraph.
And how long has
And
that been? Because that's been about a year, hasn't it?
it's a year. We just celebrated our year there last month. Our first one there was at 420
Oh,
last year.
Well, hello. That would be a
So,
holiday in itself. There you
yeah.
go.
So we had a really good celebration and an anniversary party. And that's just how it grew. Seniors don't want to be isolated when they smoke all the time. I mean, it's nice to smoke by yourself. You don't have to puff, puff, pass. You could just puff, puff, puff.
Well,
Right.
yeah, and then since the pandemic, isn't that what we've all been kind of doing, right? So that's probably been the saddest part about me hanging out with my wife, is that, that's my smoking buddy. Right? It's that or my dog, and my dog doesn't actually partake. He just watches me get stoned. And so so my best 2 smoking buddies, one doesn't smoke, my dog. The other one, I actually have another smoking buddy, but anyway, my wife is my favorite smoking buddy. And that was something that we enjoyed. I would, there's the old TV shows in the 60s and even the cartoons like Flintstones, when the man would come home from work, there'd be the slippers and the pipe and all that stuff. Well, with my wife, I usually have what is she like? She likes the screwdriver Seagrams. I have one of those, and I have, the bowl loaded. And when she comes walking in the door, because she's the breadwinner, I'm the one that's the hopeless hack. That's a comedian that makes tip money and drink tickets for a living. But so when she comes home, I have her drink. I usually have something rolled or ready to smoke. And lately, even I've loaded 2 different pipes, and she gets hers and I get mine, and it's just safer that way. We don't want to get each other sick either.
Yeah, we don't encourage the passing. So we make sure that everybody that comes in the room gets their own joint. Like, we pass out cones constantly.
Right.
There's vendors around. No, I'm not going to call them vendors, because they do not sell anything. There's no selling. I'm going to call them brands.
Brands
be right
and or
about this.
sponsors of your event.
Brand ambassadors.
There you go.
To be exact, I think, brand ambassadors. And they come and they set up tables around. And so they're giving out free cones, free joints, free dabs, edibles, whoever comes, like last time we had a chair massage therapist, a massage therapist there giving us free, massages.
Oh, that's great.
So, yeah, we have, we've gone from, we don't have any music, or we're bringing music and these little tiny Bluetooth speakers out to the lake and playing off of our phone, just our favorite songs, to live bands, DJs.
How about a stand-up comedian or 2?
Look, I tried, honestly, Paul. I tried to do a stand-up comedian. I have a guy that I went to Oaksterdam with, Big T.
Big T Terrell. Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, so him and I go way back to, I don't know, when I went to Amsterdam, whenever the hell that was.
Right.
Um, and I invited him to come and do a thing with us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, once you get about 100, it's really different when people are in a bar than when people are in a weed event. You can't make stoners be quiet. Like they just
Oh, we have some tricks. We
and
do have
so
tricks.
it was really hard for him. Like only the front people
Could hear them.
were engaged in it.
Okay. Everybody else was in their own conversations and everything
We're
else.
having our own conversations. We're smoking some weed. We didn't, it's a different kind of vibe. So I tried it. It didn't work. It didn't work well for us. Unfortunately, because I was looking to do that, to switch up entertainment here and there and try some different things.
There are tricks because I've performed at HempCon, HempFest, all the different ones, and you're right. Certain places and certain venues are harder to do. Like so, great example. We were in the round a couple times for HempCon, and it was Cow Palace, San Jose Civic, and we also did one out in Vegas. And so whenever we have comedians on stage, I had a little thing where they introduce you, you come up on stage, you kind of start doing your jokes and you start engaging with people like you normally do. You start looking at people's faces, you start engaging. They had us throwing out products, which is even harder to do because everybody just wants the free shit. And so you're throwing out t-shirts or pre-rolls or whatever's going on, right? And so they're just watching your hands. It's like a dog with a treat in your hand. You're going like this and their head's like, And so there's a couple things we learned. One thing is if you're doing that, you tell everybody, hey, keep an eye on the ball. You got to listen. And, I'm looking for people that are engaged and laughing and listening. And so half the time you would be like, setting up your joke, looking around, dropping your punchline. And when somebody laughed, as soon as somebody laughed and you knew it was a visceral laugh, you're like, oh, they're getting it. And there's a lot of things where I do this little thing because public school. I guess we can all probably attest to that. But I say, hey, if you guys were in public school, clap one time. If you were in public school, clap twice. And so a lot of people remember that is the way to get you going. And so there's little tricks and there's little things, but you're right. Stoners, you know what the hardest audience is? Drunks. Drunks want to be part of the show even when they shouldn't be. Stoners are usually really respectful, especially if you start engaging them. So know your demographic. The thing I would do with your guys' show is I do a bit that's like 10 minutes long. That would probably be how I'd open it up. It's called Old School. I'm old school. I'm like, I've still got a beeper, a pager back on the bar, old school. I still watch VHS porn, old school. I used to call popcorn. Does anybody remember popcorn? And you'll get a smattering of people depending on where you're at. But most people, especially with Tokeland seniors, they would all remember popcorn. Remember popcorn? That was the first form of phone sex. I would stay home on a Saturday night and I wouldn't even last to the top of the minute. And so there's little things. But
well, let's talk about it. If you want to be brave enough, because I'm going to have a night soon. Okay. Where we're going to feature some young artists, some young up and coming bands and singers. Mm-hmm. Some of them that I met recently at an event that I went to at the Obsidian Healing Camp in Oakland.
Right.
Which is a beautiful spot. I literally fell in love with this place and what they're gonna what their values are there. They
are they gonna work with the Tokeland seniors and do stuff?
Now we're rooted in the 510.
We're rooted in the 510.
Literally rooted in the 510, and we're staying there. We would, at this, there is nothing I don't think that could happen to make us leave there unless there was something that, happened in the organization that they couldn't have us there anymore.
Hey
We
Ralph,
are
it sounds like she's
so
trying to sound.
happy.
It sounds like Melody's trying to tell us she's a grassroots organization.
I kind of am. We are. Like, we're so grassroots. We don't even have like a 501c3. We are, or whatever, a 501c. We're not. We're just a group of people, and we have another smaller group of people who get together and we plan stuff and we organize stuff and we go out there and we beg for stuff. Every time I go to an event, I'm like, hey, I'm Melody. I have this group called Token Seniors shaking hands. So would you like to donate some weed? So would you like to donate?
Oh yeah.
Would you like to come to an event? Would you like to? I mean, I'm just like, I'm selling it all the time. And this is a different kind of sell than when you're inviting people to an event that they get to
Right.
sell things at.
Right.
I'm inviting people to come to an
give
event,
away.
to give away some stuff. First of all, stay there, drive there from wherever you're coming from. Be there for 4 hours and give away all your gold. Thank you. We
Right.
appreciate it.
And that makes you so happy. I saw a meme that you had the other day, and it basically said, I'm the happiest person in the world when I'm giving shit away.
My face, I'm like, my heart is full in these moments. My heart is full.
And it's indicative of the person that you are. That's why we're delighted to have you.
That's one of my little addictions on social media, how people scroll through the little short videos. I like the ones where the people are giving away stuff to people. Like, they're standing out in front of the store and saying, oh, can I get $1? And some kid comes up, because the mom's parked off to the side, and gives the kid gives the guy $1. And the next thing you know, he's getting like front row tickets to a Warriors game, and he's meeting Steph Curry and all this other stuff. I like those. Those are neat videos.
Yeah.
Random acts of kindness. When people aren't expecting a thing, when they just do a thing. Right. I'm gonna brag about my daughter just for 1 second. It's totally off cannabis subject.
But that's all right.
It's on random acts of cannabis. I mean, random acts
of cannabis. That's my new podcast.
Let's do that. Let's do that. Random acts of cannabis. I love it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay.
But tell us about your daughter. Brag on that girl of yours.
So we went to see. She actually bought me tickets to see Santana.
Oh.
So I went down to San Diego to see Santana with her. And we were doing a little tailgating up front. We were sitting in the back of her vehicle, had the tailgate down our style. We was drinking water and eating fruit. We wasn't doing no hard tailgating. But we're standing there. I'm chopping it up with some people that I met in the parking lot, tailgating. And my daughter sees this gentleman. He must have been, I'm going to say, in his 80s. And he's pushing what I thought was probably his wife in the wheelchair. And he had a long way to go. Like, he had to walk, because the barriers, the way they have them all set up, he would have to walk down this long aisle way and around the barriers and then walk all the way back to where they're processing the tickets. My daughter looked over and saw that. She goes, Mom, I'll be right back. She jogs over there and she just opened one of the barriers and she goes, go through right here. Right. And the security saw her and they started to come for her. Now I'm getting all Mama Bear about it. Like my shirt says Mama Bear.
Oh, there you go.
I'm getting all Mama Bear about it and I'm starting to step to her. But then I see that the security comes and opens the next gate for those people. And then they ended up in the front of the ticket line. And then a security officer walked them all the way up through the walk-in place and made sure that they got to their seat. And it was this random act of kindness that my daughter started, like throwing a pebble in a lake and watching the waves,
watching
come
it
out.
Ripple. Yeah, absolutely.
It was the ripples just come out, and I just stood there with the biggest heart and the most pride. And that was one of the things that she done that made me most proud of her. Is just to see somebody and go randomly help them.
And she got response for that. So many people, so many random acts of kindness go unnoticed. Absolutely.
It just
So
it
that's
was
going to
boom,
stick with
boom,
her.
boom. It was a beautiful moment. So yes, I love random acts of kindness. That's my jam.
Good. What do you think of what's going on today in the world?
Oh man.
You're
Oh
trying to
man,
don't be a buzzkill.
if there was ever a
How
reason to
how
smoke
could she not
cannabis,
be a buzzkill when
if
I
there was
asked that question?
there's
Um,
ever a way to a reason to smoke cannabis, it's now.
yes, yes. Smoke
um,
them if you got them, which is
yes, stay
always
calm. I want people to stay calm. Um, I don't think that us as people panicking is makes a difference. It only creates more panic. I think we need to stay calm. I think we need to stay thinking of what it could be, what it should be. I try not to focus a lot and give too much energy to the the dickhead in charge. I never say his name, and I say it different every time I talk about that person. Um,
You mean
I,
the orange fucktard?
yeah, that works too.
Okay,
That
that
works
works for
too.
me.
I feel like the more energy we as people who can't control it put into being angry at him, that's the more energy he has. I'd rather put my energy into helping random senators and governors that are Democrats in the red states get voted in. I'd rather put my energy into supporting all things positive that I can.
And you know, and who was it? Was it, I want to say, was it Michelle or was it Hillary? It was one of the first ladies that said when they go low,
Michelle,
yeah, we
when
need
they
to
go
stay
low,
we need to stay higher. We need to hit, literally and figure out, look who
we
I'm
need to
talking
stay
to.
higher in
Look
our
who I'm
thought, in
talking
our
to. Like
hearts.
I'm preaching to the choir with Melody. But what I'm saying is we definitely got to stay higher. If you notice all these protests, if it's a protest where everybody's protesting peacefully, they don't have shit to say.
Well, you
It's
also
when they're
notice,
throwing, it's when they're, you know, lighting Waymo cars on fire and throwing bottles and shit. That's the shit it's gonna get you.
I also want to honestly bring up another point, that when a lot of Black people show up to a protest, that's when cops come out and that's when trouble starts. It's it's not always the people in the protest that start the trouble.
Oh, rarely.
And so a lot of the people that are starting trouble are agitators. They're paid to come in there and start trouble. They're paid to make a thing look horrible. And they do good jobs at that job. Um, but yeah, I think one of the reasons that you haven't seen multitudes of Black people at these things is because we're just having a rest. We did what we could in the vote, and it didn't come out well. Now people just need to go fix that shit that they did. They did that shit. Now go fix that shit.
Right.
You did it. Now go clean it up.
Well, it's gonna take. I think it's gonna take at least 2 or 3 administrations or 2 or 3 terms to clean up the shit that he made.
Yeah, I mean the laws and stuff and the things that he's creating.
But I think it's been a learning experience for all of us that said, "Hey, don't worry, we live in America, this great country where there's checks and balances." Bullshit. If there was checks and balances, he would have signed all those orders, and then they would have went into a judge, and then they would have said yes or no. That's checks or balances.
Well, when the Supreme Court usurps their job and doesn't act in a way to check and balance.
Oh, they kind of blocked one of his things for the immigration thing, but again, they have to live in this country too when we're done. When this is all said and done, you know, just like any Well, we hope, like any term of a president, it will go away. We hope that this
You know
one
what
will
I
too.
enjoy?
The problem
We
with
hope
it
that
for
this one won't
me-
be a king and somehow hold on to his throne.
See, the
But
problem
Yeah.
with is that he has created or allowed. I'm not going to say he's actually created it because it's always been here. He's allowed the bullies, the racists, the misogynists, all the all the people you don't want in your circle. He's allowed them such a large.
America's about giving people, marginalized people, a voice.
He's allowed them such a
He's given
large
all the
voice.
bad bullies, the guys that used to take my lunch money, the guys that would, whatever. But
Yeah,
he's the
given them
bully. It's
such
the bully.
a voice in such a space that like a lot of people walked around in our country, as you were saying. Okay, so it's America, the land of the free, equal opportunity for everybody, words, 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 words. And then when you get from coming from somewhere else, you get here, you're like, no, that's not how it is. That's it's
Yeah.
it's equal opportunity for certain people and land of the free for certain people. But and so I think it just it makes people open their eyes to all the people in our country, and what we're dealing with, because a lot of people thought all that was over. We're a different people now. We've evolved so much.
No, he flipped the script on all of us.
And then he got voted in again. In the second, the first time was bad, and the second time was like, what the actual fuck?
What are people thinking? The second time, he told everybody what he was going to do, and they still voted for the 34-time convicted felon again.
They
So
thought
now
they
they have
thought
to
he
go
was good.
fix
They
it.
thought he was going to do what he did last time, which is say all this shit and never get it done. Now he is doing that. He is doing that on certain things, like lowering prices, getting more jobs, stuff like that. But he said from day one he was going to be
once in a while.
he said he was going to be a disruptor.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah.
Now, my question is, how are they going to get him out?
That's going to take. That's why I'm focusing on helping get more Democrats voted in. I'm like all of that Democrats are perfect, or I'm not that. I think Democratic Party has a long struggle to go.
Yeah, I've been asked multiple times lately if I'm a Democrat.
Party. I like the Green Party. To be honest, I like the Green Party.
I've been asked multiple times lately if I'm a Democrat, and I said no. I kind of fell into that bracket by default a while back. But I'm definitely not you're a Republican. No.
No.
I'm an American. I'm an
stopping?
American, and the Democrats aren't doing shit. They're all being passive and letting shit fly by. And I've heard ones go, well, we'll have to pick our battles and figure out which one's more important. Are you kidding me?
More important to who? And that's my first question. More important to who?
Well, we're going backwards in race equality, in gender equality, whatever little steps we were making towards. I don't like the term DEI, DEI.
Yeah, diversity,
DEI.
equity, and
Inclusion. Yeah, I wanted to go DIY, which is do it yourself, not.
and
So
not the DEA.
Yeah, or not the DEA. Yeah, I used to be. I used to.
Not the DUI.
I used to
You
be
don't want that.
I used to be a tour bus. I used to be up on the double-decker tour buses here, sightseeing tours in San Francisco. And every time we went by the Fed building, I'd go, yes, here he is, the Fed building. You know, you saw Barry Bonds out in front, but also it houses the ATF, the DEA, the FBI, the WTF, you name it.
All the letters.
Yeah.
All right now. All the letters.
Yeah.
So
Let
yeah,
me get serious.
so I'm literally trying to support candidates that aren't just in California,
Right.
but out of California, because we need to flip the houses and the main government back to reason, and we need to have some term limits. There's a lot of things that
We need some really good Congress people representing ourselves.
Yeah, so and we have to support them from states who are already democratic. We have to give whatever support we can to those other places so that we can help that. And that's what I do, Ralph. And that's how I try to stay positive and not focus on the nasty, but focus on how can I change this? What can I do? How can I help? And sometimes I'm just gonna rest.
Right.
You,
And
you
I
know
think
what else
go
we
ahead.
need is term limits.
Yeah,
That would take
term
care
limit.
of a lot of things. Um, anyway,
Anyways, let's talk about weed. Let's talk about weed.
Yeah, let's talk about weed.
now,
So what's the flavor
yes,
that everybody
please.
savors today? What is everybody smoking? Let's go around the
And
table.
listen, I want you guys to take the lead on this because you are the two experts on weed among us. I just smoke to get high. And all the other stuff is a side effect for me that I wasn't expecting. The good health, the blood pressure never being a problem, the mellow feeling that's long term that isn't just the high. It takes you where you want to be. All the things I never expected when I started yeah, on my journey of being a daily smoker. Now, I'm lucky. I could have been a daily, you know, heroin addict for crying out loud. I chose the right drug, mainly because my mother said long ago, you'll never stick a needle in your arm. You're afraid of needles. And I said, that's true. But I didn't need to. And that's good. What's the best thing that you can say about weed purely from your own personal stand? What does it do for you that's most incredible? Melanie.
See this?
Well,
Yeah.
hold on.
It
Let's get
makes me smile. It makes me smile. It makes me be able to look at some things and go, and just shake my head, smile, laugh it off. Um, it 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 definitely decreases anxiety for me. Like it's a very calming place. I don't smoke sativas of any kind, so there's always a calming effect for me. And and I'm 68. I'm an ex-athlete. I have owies everywhere. Every joint that bends, if it bends, it hurts. Um, and so you know, I use a lot of topicals and edibles as well as smoking. All my motto is all the weeds in all the ways.
mhm, mhm.
That's that's what I do. All the weeds in all the ways. I mean, it keeps me moving. I don't have to take any Vicodin or
Yeah.
even ibuprofen or Tylenols or any of the pain medicine. Those are like last resort. If none of the things that I have work, if I can't dab it out or topical it out or smoke it out or use some edibles for it, if that doesn't work, then that's really bad. That's when I have to go to the doctor. Like, let's talk about it.
Hey, Paulie, let me ask you the same question. The best thing about weed for you?
I think Melody kind of hit on it for me right there is no more opioids. That's the break in case of emergency. And that used to be the go-to. And the reason it was the go-to is um I got addicted. And I got addicted earlier on when I first started doing stand-up comedy and when I started like with some comedians, not all comedians, but like with some comedians we needed a little liquid courage. And so my drink was a pint glass with a lot of ice because I love ice, but a pint glass with vodka and it had to be top shelf vodka and Red Bull. And then I was
Whoa.
I was
Wait.
taking Norco.
Whoa.
Which I'm looking at Melody now and she's like, "Oh no, that's a recipe for disaster." Guess what? It was. It was a recipe for disaster. It absolutely was. And it started with having surgery, almost dying in surgery, and then getting pills prescribed to me because they did damage during the surgery, nerve damage, and they wanted to start putting like needles in my spine and needles in my gut. And I'm like, yeah, no, that ain't happening. And they go, well, let's start off slow and start with pills. And that wasn't starting off slow. And then, so when you're drinking copious amounts of alcohol, especially strong vodka, and popping Norcos, I used to have there was a joke I did for a while. I go, it's time for my favorite nighttime drinking game. It's time for bobbing for Vicodin. And I would drop a couple Vicodin in the top of the glass and go bobbing for them like they were apples. And so, yeah, no, it's ugly. It was ugly, ugly, ugly stuff.
Well,
And so that's probably the
glad-
biggest one.
I'm happy that you are not there anymore.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm now 45 pounds less weight, which if you see me, I'm 6'6", 220, 225, depending on what if I've eaten yet today. But literally, I was up at like 265, and I was so heavy, and I was drinking Red Bull and or Monster just to stay awake. And so I think at that point, my son saw me drinking a second energy drink in a day. And he goes, is that your second one? He goes, Dad, you know, those things can give you a heart attack. And, you know, my son's 24, but this was a dozen years ago. And he goes, man, you can die off those things. You got to watch out. And I was actually on my third energy drink of the day because I was taking those types of meds. Plus they had me on like 3,000 milligrams of gabapentin, which was enough to put anybody to sleep. And so, yeah, no, that's probably the biggest thing is that I'm no longer on opioids. I don't drink hardly at all anymore. I used to drink to get drunk. I used to drink to quell the voices in my head. Now I smoke to make the voices in my head laugh. Instead of talk to me, they're laughing at the jokes that I'm thinking in my head. The stupid things I think up, and I'm like, oh, that's good.
Let's not freak out about it. What if this happened instead of that? I always try to make myself think of that, because as human beings, I think that we've been, especially as human beings in America, we always think of what's the worst thing that could happen.
And I do apologize to our live listeners and viewers. Ralph's mic is doing that wonky thing again. So go ahead, Melody. But I just wanted to let you know we acknowledge it's happening.
Okay. Hey, Paul, if my mic goes bad, when the time comes, take us out and play some of those clips that we have about Ralph Says and,
Yeah, and we may even play that thing from the Giant Stadium, but let's let Melody finish because I know she was bringing up a really salient point. So you were saying about...
Right. So you could just put a picture up of me and that'll be cool.
Okay, no problem, sir. We'll make sure we cover you.
I forgot what I was saying.
Oh, well, you were saying basically that... Now I got to go back. That opioids and alcohol are an ugly mix. They are.
Yeah. I'm so happy that you are no longer doing that. I did forget to say when I was saying my favorite things about it. I think community, like we have such a great community. Like we get together and we smoke some weed and we laugh until we cry. At our last event, I'm in the middle of handing out raffle tickets, and I look at my friend Teresa and the brownies that Miss Mona, the cookie lady, made, hit me right in the middle of me trying to grab a ticket for Teresa. And all of a sudden, I can't read the numbers. I start laughing. I tell the group, this is not my fault. This is Miss Mona's fault over there. She feed me brownies tonight. And I get the giggles, the straight out giggles.
Right.
And I had tears just rolling down my face. Now everybody's laughing. Everybody's like, Stoner. And I'm like, Stoner. And so just that, that minute where I literally had to have a friend go get me a napkin so I could wipe the tears away from
Oh
my
yeah.
face because I was laughing so hard
I've
because I was
laughed so
being
hard that my
totally
gut is
alive.
hurt, right? And so that
You
reminds
know,
me of conversations with my wife. We used to have, that's why we're together. I think we were best of friends for a long time and we still are, but I mean, we laughed so hard at stuff that it would hurt and that we couldn't even catch our breath and that we're tearing up, and there was times where we spent hours on the phone talking to each other.
mm-hmm.
And so
So yeah,
you're right. And a
community. I
lot of
think a
those
lot of
times are cannabis fueled, to put it
yes,
any other way.
yes. I mean, and our communities are not just there for the laughs; we're there to support each other as well. Um, we find out that one of our community members' husbands is sick, and so when we get the donations in, I'm specifically saying I'm looking for some this, I'm looking for some that, so that we can help this person's husband out. So it's not just, we're gonna sit around and laugh. We're here to support. We hold each other up. When one of us passes away, there's a lot of us that come out to whatever ceremony is. We hold each other up in the hardest of times, and we hold each other's hands in the best of times. So it's just not all personal. It's about my pain. It's about my anxiety. It's also quality of life. Like, cannabis has brought such wonderful friends into my life,
Right.
that I talk to on a daily basis, like on a daily basis. And
And
that,
the quality of friends that smoke cannabis are different than, let's say, even the ones that drink, that are weekend like teetotalers, just have a couple margaritas and stuff. It's a different, I seem to gel with people like that a lot better, a lot easier. I feel more at ease. Um, Sometimes it really scares me when somebody goes, they're my age. Oh, I've never even smoked pot. Uh-oh.
oh, baby, I'm sorry. I can help you with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, they go, I wouldn't touch it. It's a drug, or it's this or that. And it's like, oh, yikes.
So education is still everything. I mean, we still have to be spreading the word about education and the things that our bodies come with, like CB1 and CB2 receptors that are open and ready for THC, and that's the only thing they do is take in THC and CBD. That's the only thing they do. That's the only thing they do. So you got to figure, no matter how you look at how we got here, whether God put us here, whether it's a fluke of science, however you want to think or feel about the existence of why we are, the biology of our body, the chemistry of our body is prepared to smoke some weed, to eat some weed. It's prepared to accept it, receive it, and then have it do what it's supposed to do to make you more healthy.
Right.
Mentally and
Yes.
physically.
So it's our body has receptors for it that don't do anything else but that. So, education. We still have a lot of people living out of reefer madness type of, state of mind.
Hysteria and
Right.
yeah.
And so I think the best thing we can do in education is not only speak out loud about it, but to show people who we are while we're high. Like, dude, I raised children. I was a chair of 4 different workforce boards at one time of their IT committee. I trained people on new software. I trained people how to use software on computers for ADA purposes. I did everything that I've ever done in my entire life while I was high.
Wow. Yeah, no, there's
And I did it well. I've never been.
I
Well,
currently
got fired once when
make my,
I used, but I've never been fired. I've always been given raises. I have wonderful children. Oh my God, my children are like, I want to say the best two human beings in the history of ever. But I'm a mom. But they're really like, as a mom, they weren't any problems. They were good kids. They didn't get in trouble. They were smart. They were intelligent. They were well-rounded. They were, easily made friends. And so I did all of this, all of the things that I've done in my life, I've done while high. And I think that if we don't tell people that you can function every
You're right.
day,
That's where I
like
was going.
I've done all day training back in. Like, if you don't tell people what you can do while you're doing it, I mean, I didn't necessarily announce it while I was on the job, but for people to know that you have ability to do all these things, like getting stoned doesn't just mean laying on the couch and doing nothing, falling asleep, being lazy, sleeping all day. Like, it doesn't just mean that. Yeah, it can mean that, and there are days when it does mean that for me. I'm not gonna lie. That's the point of some days, is to rest, and that's what I do.
It
But
makes me,
that's not the
in
only
a
thing I
whole,
do.
it makes me a better person. It makes me, like you said, there's people that are functioning alcoholics. I don't think they're very functioning. They might make it to work, they might retain their job, but their quality of life sucks. Cannabis makes me a better person, makes me more patient, makes me more caring and understanding and empathetic to other people's plights and what's happening. And I love it because I can see you out of the corner doing the thank you for the finger snaps. But that's what it is. It gives us empathy for other people. This is the, people are
Uh-oh.
taking mushrooms to realize some of this stuff, microdosing mushrooms and taking psychedelics. You don't even need to do that. A little bit of cannabis and a little bit of understanding, and they make jokes about it. We'll sit around the campfire and sing kumbaya. Fuck yeah, we will. We needed a little bit more of that shit right now in our
And we do
country.
more than that. We get on the dance floor and shake a tail feather too.
Yeah, girlfriend, let's do that. Yeah. So, yeah, no, I got
So
you.
it was the greatest thing. Speaking of on the dance floor, at our last event, we have a couple of women that use canes,
Mm-hmm.
and it brings joy to my heart to see these women on the floor with their canes dancing,
Yeah,
because
yeah, it
they're
does.
having such a good time and feeling so good.
We call it Raisin Cane. So,
Okay.
all right, Ralph,
We
your mic is getting
I
so bad.
promise,
Go ahead and
I promise that Paulie and I will attend a meeting, a group meeting at our earliest convenience. We'll really make it a priority. We have, but do you know that Paul has 3 different homes, basically? Am I correct? Responsibilities to a wife, kids, and parents.
and
And
other people that I'm a healthcare worker for, and I run my own small independent business in San Francisco.
Right.
So my dance
And
card
me?
is pretty full.
And me, I
Hello.
have trouble at night seeing. So the combination of that has not gotten it to happen yet, but it
All right,
will.
guys.
Maybe.
I hear you. I hear all of that. I hear all of that. I hear it. I feel it. I understand it. The invitation is always open to you, third Friday of every month, 4 to 8 p.m. Before we go, I want to say one political thing about cannabis.
Sure, please.
Let's deschedule.
Yeah.
I'm tired of rescheduling. I'm tired of all the loopholes. Let's deschedule. Let's push hard for it. Let us not collapse like we did on Prop 65 around a couple of things that were good, but then there was so much bad around it. Let us stay strong and let us stay on point. That descheduling is the goal. Descheduling is the goal.
And in
You're
case
coming to
you couldn't
do
see me,
that,
I'm
you're
doing this
coming
right now.
up-
I'm doing this right now because that's it. I'm telling you now. Why was it even a Schedule 1 drug? What the hell?
Oh, go back and look at the history
Oh,
between
I
cancer
know,
and
but I
hemp.
mean, I understand. It's the FBI, Edgar Hoover. It was J. Edgar Hoover. It was Nixon. It was a lot of these things that made it ugly.
And
But I
now
get it.
to reschedule, you have to go against lobbyists from big corporations, the cotton lobbyists, the
Big pharma.
all these people that are competing with hemp and putting that hemp could save the society. Yeah, and
Yeah, there's so many people against
and,
hemp,
and
big pharma, alcohol, all these industries.
right.
I mean, the clothing industry itself um is wrapped up in polyester. So
Cotton without the boll weevil, could you imagine that? And they're making hemp now for clothing that's every bit as comfortable as cotton. And
It's
of
not. It's
course,
no
the
longer like
oil,
wearing burlap underwear. Gotcha.
I
right?
just bought 2 bags from a guy named Jesse Lopez. I'm gonna shout you out, Jesse Lopez, on Facebook. I bought 2 hemp bags. They're beautiful bags. One is a small backpack, and one is a purse. And I'm so in love with both of them. They're hemp and sustainable leather. So I finally had to do it, Ralph, because my old bag, I went to dispensary the other day and I put my purse up on the counter to get some money out, and I noticed that all the hemp was just wearing through and it was rattling out because I've had it so long. I mean, I've had this bag for years and years, maybe since the first High Times Cup.
Here's mine, and
Hold on. Let me
mine is
grab. Let
still
me grab
going.
that. Hold on. There's yours.
It's a little tattered, but here it is. Um, anyway, hey, thanks, Melody. It's a great show.
Thank you, as always.
We just love having you. You just make our day. It's not a work day; it's a fun day.
Thank you.
Yeah, you make things more enjoyable, and you help us out in so many ways, just like our seniors. So this is our shout out to you, Melody. Thank you for doing what you do and sharing your love and your kindness and your compassion to
And
these
it's
seniors
nice
in
to
Oakland.
see seniors who 10 years ago were so anti pot, as it was called in those days, um, that they've realized that the mental and the medicinal um, can't be stopped, and it's nice to see them enjoying it. Um,
Don't
so
fear the euphoria.
yes, yes. Okay, you want to take us out?
All right, so I'm gonna do those things what I do with you guys. Here is Ralph's social media. Don't forget, go follow Ralph at all those, including YouTube, Facebook, stuff like that. I'm gonna try to play the thing we were talking about last time. Hold on. Okay, so there's his social medias. Please go follow him there. And of course, we know that Zig says go give to your local Head Start program. That's right. Programs help children get ready and succeed in school and in life. If you have any spare books at home, please bring it to your local Head Start program. There's also a website, but I'm afraid if you give it to them, you'll give it right to Elon. So don't do that. That might be scary. And then let me see if I can pull something up here. I'm going to try it. We'll see if I can pull it up. Hold on. Sooner or later, it will do it.
Melody, you help us have a purpose that isn't just baseball and laughs. So I appreciate that very much, because the older you get, the more one needs a purpose, something to get out of bed for.
You make me get up so early for this, though. Like, do we have to do it so early?
Well, it isn't as early as planned, is it, Paul?
No, it isn't. I owe you another
No.
pizza. I owe you another pizza. But
Well, that's good.
but here's a good thing. So
come
I'm going to
out.
share this with you guys. It's a little bit of San Francisco. Hopefully we can pull this off. All right, guys in the booth, hit it.
Bob Weir, Vince Welnick, San Francisco's own The Grateful Dead.
Can we get sound with
Yeah,
that?
hold on.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight.
Not
For
yet.
the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, they proved through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave over the land of the free?
All right, guys. Until next week, stay in the zone.
All right. Thank you again, Paulie and Melody. Oh, what a pleasure.